Most men hand out compliments like candy, sweet, predictable, and instantly forgettable. But the compliments that haunt a woman's thoughts, the ones that make her want more of you, they aren't obvious and they aren't safe. They slip under her radar. They bypass logic. They touch something deeper. These are compliments she's never heard, but secretly always wanted. And once you learn how to use them, everything changes. 1. You have a way of making people feel calm, even when things are falling apart. Most men compliment what's visible: her hair, her smile, her body. And while she might smile politely, inside she's bored. Surface level praise is cheap. It doesn't stick. It doesn't matter. But when you say something like, "You have a way of making people feel calm, even when things are falling apart," you're not just speaking words. You're revealing that you see something no one else does. You're not admiring her beauty. You're admiring her essence. This line works because it touches the emotional burden women carry silently. Society expects them to be composed, nurturing, graceful, even when they're exhausted, overwhelmed, or silently screaming inside. And most of the time, no one acknowledges their emotional strength. This compliment shatters that silence. It validates the side of her that's invisible to others. And more importantly, it makes you stand out because you're not trying to flatter her. You're recognizing her. Here's why this works so powerfully. It makes her feel emotionally significant. She's not being seen for how she looks, but for how she makes others feel. That's rare and unforgettable. It reframes her identity. Instead of being just hot or fun, you've given her the identity of an anchor, someone with hidden strength. It introduces subtle mystery. Why did you say that? What made you feel that way? What else do you see in her that others don't? These questions pull her deeper into your frame. And here's where it becomes even more powerful. Once a woman feels like you can perceive something others can't, she becomes invested in earning more of that validation. She begins opening up, revealing more, hoping you'll keep seeing more. How to use this in real life? You're at a party. She's holding everything together, handling a stressful moment with grace. You lean in and say, "You know, most people would be freaking out right now, but you're just calm, like you're holding the room together." You're mid-conversation. She says something insightful or shows a moment of vulnerability. You pause, look at her seriously, and say, "It's strange. You have this way of making people feel calm, like everything's going to be okay, even when it's not." She shares a personal story, something heavy, something she doesn't talk about often. You nod slowly and respond, "That explains it. I've been feeling it the whole time." You're grounded, even when things are falling apart. The psychology behind the delivery. Say it as a realization. It should feel spontaneous, like something you've just figured out about her. That makes it more believable. Use a pause before and after. Don't rush. Let it hang in the air. Make her sit with it. Don't over-explain. Mystery adds weight. Say it and move on. Let her think about what you meant. Most compliments make a woman feel seen, but the great ones, they make her feel exposed in a good way. They make her feel like there's someone who notices her efforts, her energy, her emotional gravity. And that recognition, that's what sticks. That's what makes her chase you. 2. You think differently from everyone else. It's refreshing. In a world where most conversations are shallow, where people echo the same ideas, recycle the same phrases, and avoid challenging thoughts just to fit in, a woman who thinks differently becomes magnetic. But most men overlook this. They compliment her eyes, her body, her energy. And yes, she might smile in response. But deep down, she's unimpressed. She's heard it all before. Now imagine being the man who says something that cuts through that noise. Something that makes her pause. Something that tells her, I see the way your mind works, and it's different. This compliment works not because it flatters her intelligence, but because it elevates her identity. It tells her she's not just smart, she's original. And in a world addicted to sameness, being told she's unique feels like emotional oxygen. Why this compliment hits so deeply? It validates her as an outlier. Most women, especially the ones worth chasing, have ideas, insights, or beliefs that go against the grain, but they often keep them hidden, unsure if anyone would actually appreciate them. This compliment tells her you noticed. It positions you as rare. When you observe her mind instead of her makeup, her thinking instead of her looks, you become different by default. You're not just another guy hitting on her. You're someone who sees beyond the surface. It invites her to go deeper. Once you acknowledge the way she thinks, she'll feel safe to reveal more. And once she starts showing you the parts of herself no one else gets to see, emotional intimacy forms. That's where obsession begins. More real-world delivery scenarios. You're on a date. She shares a perspective on relationships, work, or people that catches you off guard. You lean back slightly, pause, and say, most people don't think that way, but you do. And honestly, it's refreshing. She makes an observation about human behavior or society, something with depth. You give her a subtle smile and respond. That's not something I hear every day. You definitely think on a different level. You're texting. She replies with something insightful or bold. You respond with, this is why I enjoy talking to you. You don't just repeat what everyone else says. Your mind actually surprises me. The secret here isn't the words, it's the frame. You're framing her thoughts as rare, valuable, and stimulating. And when a woman feels like her mind turns you on more than her body, that's when everything shifts. She goes from being the one who's desired to the one doing the desiring. Because now she's wondering, what else do you see in me? What other layers will you uncover? Key tips for delivery. Say it slowly, like you're processing it in real time. Let a moment of silence follow your words. That gives them weight. Don't explain too much. Let her feel the depth of your observation. And above all, mean it. If it feels rehearsed, it dies instantly. But if it's real, it lingers in her mind. The best compliments are the ones that don't close a moment. They open a doorway. This line doesn't flatter her. It invites her to explore a deeper part of herself with you. And that, more than anything, makes her chase. 3. There's something about the way you carry yourself. Like you've been through a lot, but never let it define you. This isn't just a compliment. It's a quiet observation that goes beneath her surface. A mirror held up to her soul. Because whether she talks about it or not, every woman has scars, emotional wounds, past struggles, Moments where everything could have broken her, but didn't. Most men never see this. Or worse, they ignore it. They stick to safe comments about appearance or energy. But this line, this tells her you're not looking at the mask. You're looking at the woman behind it. This works because it triggers something profound, emotional recognition. You're not just seeing her strength. You're seeing the battle she fought to earn it. Why it's so emotionally disarming? It signals deep perception. You're not just paying attention. You're reading between the lines. And for women who feel like they always have to appear put together, this is both shocking and relieving. It touches something private. You're acknowledging her past without asking about it. That allows her to feel emotionally seen without pressure. It reframes her strength. Instead of admiring how strong she acts, you're admiring the strength she built. That's a compliment very few women ever receive, and one they never forget. How to use this in real life. You're in a moment of quiet conversation. She shares a story, not necessarily painful, but personal. You pause, take a breath, and say, "You know, there's something about the way you carry yourself. Like you've been through things most people wouldn't understand, but you never let it change your core." She shows kindness, but with a hint of guardedness. You observe her quietly and say, "It's strange. You seem soft, but not fragile, like someone who's been tested and came out stronger." She downplays something emotional, brushes it off with a laugh. You don't laugh. You just look at her and say, "You joke about it, but I can tell. You've been through a lot, and somehow it didn't harden you." That's rare. The power of this compliment isn't in the words. It's in the pause that follows. It's in the way you deliver it, slowly, softly, with weight. It's not a performance. It's a recognition. And here's the real secret. When a woman feels like you've seen the part of her, she hides from everyone else. You become impossible to forget. She starts wondering what else you see, what else you feel, what it would be like to open up to someone like you. And once that thought enters her mind, she starts chasing it. Not the compliment, not your words, you. 4. Being around you feels strangely familiar, like I've known you much longer than I have. There's a kind of compliment that bypasses logic entirely, one that doesn't flatter her beauty or her intellect, but something even more personal, her energy, her presence, her essence. When you say this, you're not complimenting what she does. You're complimenting how she makes you feel. And for a woman who's used to being judged for what she shows the world, this hits differently. It tells her she's not just interesting or attractive. She's familiar to your soul. This line taps into something primal, the feeling of connection, the idea that your paths were meant to cross, that there's something about her that resonates beyond time or logic. Why this compliment creates emotional pull, implies destiny. Whether she believes in fate or not, most people feel drawn to the idea that some connections aren't random. This line gives her that feeling, without being cliché. It makes her feel deeply known, as if there's something about her that fits into your world effortlessly, even if you can't explain it. It creates an emotional bond. When someone says you feel familiar, it suggests comfort, recognition, and depth, all without the need for history. This isn't about romance, it's about resonance. And when you drop this line at the right moment, It locks in something emotional that's hard to shake. How to use this in real life. You're mid-conversation. There's an unexpected flow. You're finishing each other's thoughts or laughing at the same obscure idea. You pause and say, "This is weird," but being around you feels strangely familiar, like I've known you much longer than I have. She opens up quickly, shares something personal without hesitation. You look at her, thoughtful, and say, "Most people hold back, but with you, it's different. Like we've done this before, even if we haven't." You're walking or sitting together in silence, but it doesn't feel awkward. You glance at her and say, "You know what's strange? This feels normal, like we've known each other for years." The psychology of why this works. It creates emotional safety. If she feels familiar to you, she'll start to feel safer with you, like there's already trust. It triggers a romantic illusion. Without saying it outright, you've hinted at fate, connection, and meaning. That stirs fantasy, and fantasy drives desire. It makes her try to figure you out. Why does she feel familiar to you? What do you see in her? What's this connection really about? This line doesn't end a moment. It plants a seed. And once that seed is in her mind, she'll start watering it with questions, thoughts, curiosity. And when a woman starts wondering why she feels so drawn to you, she'll come back again and again to figure it out. 5. You're soft, but not weak. There's a quiet kind of strength in you. Most people assume softness is weakness. But when you say this to a woman, when you recognize her tenderness as strength, you flip that narrative upside down. And in doing so, you hit on something she's likely never been complimented on before. This compliment is rare because it carries duality. It acknowledges her femininity while affirming her resilience. It tells her she doesn't have to act tough to be powerful, that her softness is her power. In a world that often forces women to either harden up or be dismissed, this line feels like emotional permission. Permission to be exactly who she is and still be seen as strong. Why this compliment creates emotional impact. It reframes vulnerability as power. You're not praising her for being fearless or loud. You're honoring the strength it takes to stay gentle in a hard world. It makes her feel balanced. You're not choosing between strong or soft. You're saying she's both. That kind of emotional contrast is rare and deeply seductive. It touches her identity. This isn't about how she looks. It's about how she is. And when someone acknowledges how she exists in the world, that sticks. How to deliver this in real life. She opens up about something difficult, but stays composed. You look at her, no smile, just respect, and say, "You're soft, but not weak." That's rare. She expresses compassion, empathy, or kindness, even in a moment when most people wouldn't. You pause, hold her gaze, and say, "There's a quiet kind of strength in you. Most people miss it. I don't." She comforts someone else, even while clearly going through something herself. You say, "The way you stay gentle, even when things are hard, that says a lot about you." Why this lingers in her mind. It makes her feel like you see the layers, the parts most people overlook. It tells her that she doesn't need to change to be admired. She just needs to be recognized. And it gives her something powerful. Emotional dignity. Not praise, but quiet, piercing acknowledgement. Here's the part most men miss. A woman never forgets the man who makes her feel understood in the places she thought were invisible. And when you tell her you're soft, but not weak, you're not giving her approval. You're giving her reflection, the kind that makes her think, the kind that stays with her, the kind that makes her wonder, what else does he see? And that's when she starts chasing. Final reflection. Most men believe compliments are about making a woman smile. But the truth is, the compliments that matter aren't the ones that make her feel good in the moment. They're the ones that echo in her mind when you're no longer around. These 5 hidden compliments work because they bypass surface-level flattery. They touch something deeper. They make her feel seen in a way that's rare, unsettling, unforgettable. And when you become the man who notices what no one else sees, the man who says what no one else has said, you stop being just another guy and start becoming the one she can't stop thinking about. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to our channel for more Stoic wisdom. See you in the next video.